more than half of adult women in Canada have experienced unwanted sexual pressure, survey suggests. More than half of adult women in Canada, or 53%, have experienced unwanted sexual pressure, and more than 1 in 10 Canadians, both men and women, say sexual harassment of women in their workplace is really quite common, according to a survey released Wednesday. The findings represent numbers that are really quite striking, said Bruce Anderson, chair of Abacus Data, the research company that conducted the survey. Applied to the total Canadian population, the results suggest that 8 million women in this country have been sexually harassed at some point in their lives. Abacus conducted the survey between October 20 and October 23, a time when the issue of sexual harassment was top of mind amid explosive allegations that Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein had been making unwanted advances toward actresses and other women for decades. Some of the women have alleged they were sexually assaulted. The timing of the survey was intentional, Anderson told CBC News, because the Weinstein news was perhaps a bit of a tipping point in the debate about this kind of behavior in society and in the workplace. Anderson said he hoped the social media discussions that ensued, such as the Me Too Twitter movement, have led women to feel more empowered to answer these questions honestly. One of the survey questions said, "Lately there have been stories in the news media about sexual harassment of women in Hollywood. Have you ever personally experienced unwanted sexual pressure?" In response, 5% of respondents said they had experienced unwanted sexual pressure very often, 7% said often, and 41% said occasionally. 46% said they had never experienced unwanted sexual pressure. European Parliament member Terry Reintke, Centre, holds our placard with the hashtag #MeToo during a debate to discuss preventative measures against sexual harassment and abuse in the EU. People around the world have joined the social media campaign to speak out against sexual harassment against women. Christian Hartman, Reuters. The survey also asked Canadians, both men and women, about sexual harassment in their workplaces. 12% of the respondents, 10% of men and 14% of women, said sexual harassment of women was really quite common in their workplace. 44%, 43% of men and 44% of women, said it was infrequent but does happen. Fewer than half the respondents, 44%, said sexual harassment of women doesn't happen in their workplaces. Most of those surveyed, 63% of men and 77% of women, believed harassers didn't face any consequences for their actions. The fact that men, in addition to women, are acknowledging that sexual harassment is happening in their own workplaces is important, Anderson said. With more people talking about the problem, he hopes society is heading for a new normal. People will no doubt dispute the survey findings, Anderson said, with some people insisting the problem is overstated and others saying the issue is much worse than the survey suggests. Some will argue that what constitutes harassment or unwanted sexual pressure should be clearly defined, he said. But those definitions don't matter, he said, because the behavior is unwanted in the mind of the person who doesn't want it. Abacus Data conducted the survey online with 1,500 Canadians ranging in age from 18 to over 60. A random sample of people taken from a large representative panel of over 500,000 Canadians were invited to complete the survey. The company said it weighted the data to ensure the sample reflected census population data according to age, gender, educational attainment and region. The margin of error for a comparable probability-based random sample of 1,500 is plus or minus 2.5%, 19 times out of 20, the company said.